Cushman and Wakefield's involvement with Project Osmosis really grew out of an idea that we could better inject our beliefs in the principles of ESG, and particularly being present in our communities, into some of the sponsorships we do in associations and professional organizations in the commercial real estate industry. We reached out to Vernon and Project Osmosis and talked to him about ways that we might work with the Osmosites, and the Design Thinking Challenge was born.
Project Osmosis is a design education initiative. In a nutshell, Osmosis is basically a bookmobile for design, and our motto is dream, self-expression, community. And we also go by the tagline that we all have the human right to be creative. We've dedicated our mission to that purpose. But the design challenge was very unique. We kind of went out of a comfort zone a little bit and really began to look at partnerships with organizations that were not just based on design, but based on creating a better world for us to live in.
Design Challenge is a project that's a collaboration and a partnership between Project Osmosis, PepsiCo, Cushman Wakefield, IBM, and Humana. The object of the challenge is to redesign their working spaces, to take a look at whether or not the corporate spaces that existed prior to the pandemic are now conducive and inviting for employees as they return to those spaces. What we did was we broke the young people up into 4 groups. So each team has 4 young people and 2 art design professionals and representatives from that corporation who work collaboratively to look at the spaces that these corporations have. It was just refreshing for young people to meet not only designers, to spend time with these high-level executives, but for the people at these corporations, these major companies, to take time and spend time with our young people talking about the profession of art and design. It's invaluable.
We are redesigning Cushman Wakefield's 28th and 29th floor to make it more appealing for the employees to come in and want to work. Basically, we looked at the space, we had to interview a lot of the staff here, so we saw what was lacking, had a bunch of brainstorms, come up with different ideas.
The people that we're working with at Cushman and Wakefield and on the client side are people who have been thinking about real estate and occupying real estate and making decisions about it for their entire careers.
I really love the idea of even incorporating something different with the glass. That's nice.
And to have a group of young people who just don't have the preconceived notions that the rest of us do about what space should be and what a working experience should be is just delightful and insightful, and has been just really beyond what I ever possibly could have imagined when we started this.
We knew that the students would get a lot from having a real life experience of working with great companies like IBM, Pepsi, Humana, Cushman and Wakefield. What I didn't realize was the degree to which all of these clients would express their value and respect for the students' ideas and want to use them.
Up when you want to feel like you want to be engaging. I think that's really a clever idea.
What the students have really gotten at the end of the day is a real sense of the power they have as generative, creative thinkers.
I definitely learned a lot. I'm grateful for the experience, just being able to work with multiple creatives around my age, as well as creatives that have been doing this for a long time, and to also get experience with seeing how the corporate world works. Working with IBM specifically, I learned a lot from the experience.
My favorite part would be communicating with team members, pretty much brainstorming. I like that kind of idea.
I would have to say it was amazing. I got to bounce ideas off of other people, and they got to give me feedback when I gave my ideas, and it was a lot of encouragement going on. I learned a little bit about myself.
For young people who are working for corporations all across the globe that started out as Project Osmosis mentees, to actually get out and have input and involvement and feedback from somebody that's been a part of the profession, you can't buy that. There's no price that you can put on that. And you don't get that necessarily in the formal education process for art design.
Osmosis has been doing this for years now. We're trying to now create a space, an actual design center, where they can practice and showcase their skills. One of the things that the Design Center, as well as the challenge, is trying to resolve is changing the numbers. The industry was woefully short when it comes to having actual designers of color in the field. Historically, designers have been often marginalized, and designers of color have had a very hard trek to actually get into the industry. So this Design Center would be a creative resource center for people of color to get into this field. But not only to just get into the field, but to have a path to take them from interest to professional.
Mentoring is incredibly important, and what I've seen with these students through this project is that I think they're being taught some things, but they're teaching us some things as well. So it's kind of a two-way mentoring, but I also see them being very confident in making their own decisions, and that is just the best part of working with them, is just seeing this confidence exuding from these students because they're being mentored by Vernon and all the other people in Osmosis, and by our clients and by each other. I appreciate personally, Cushman and Wakefield appreciates, and all of our clients appreciate the partnership and the enthusiasm that Project Osmosis, both from its leaders and from its students, have brought to this design challenge.
The biggest takeaway for me is that I am more creative than I would like to think.
I sort of put myself in a box in a way creatively before this because, I'm thinking the corporate world had to be like this or had to be like this, but, creativity can be many things. It can fit in a lot of different places.
I saw myself as a small fry. I saw myself as someone who wanted to work with just local businesses, but now it's at a point where I'm seeing that I am actually good enough. That's what this project taught me, is that there's nothing too big. All you gotta do is just step into it and also embrace the change.